Okay, in this video we're going to look at how to identify the subject of a sentence. Let's begin by reviewing what a sentence is. A sentence is essentially someone or something, that's the subject of the sentence, doing or being something. That's the main verb. You only need those two components to have a complete sentence. So let's look at two very simple sentences. Jennifer slept. Here we have someone, Jennifer, that's the subject of the sentence, doing something, slept, that's the main verb. Here's another one. It is cold. That's a complete sentence. We have something, which is it, being something, and that's cold. The word that links the subject to the word that describes it is the main verb, is. Okay, in terms of parts of speech for a subject can only be a noun or a pronoun. What's a noun? A noun is a person, place, or a thing. For example, James is a noun, table is a noun, New York is a noun. And a pronoun replaces a noun. So he is a pronoun, it is a pronoun, she is a pronoun, they is a pronoun. Those types of words can be subjects. Okay, how do you find the subject in the sentence? How do you locate it? Well, the first thing you do is find the main verb. And once you've found the main verb, the subject of the sentence answers the question, who or what, before the main verb. Let's look at an example. Jason wrote the test. Okay, here we have something going on, an action. That's the main verb, wrote. So to find the subject, we ask who or what before wrote. So who wrote? Jason wrote. So Jason is the subject of this sentence. Now there's another word here, the test. That could be, it's a noun, it could be a subject in a sentence, but here it's not. It's an object in this sentence. We know it's an object because an object answers the question, whom or what, after the verb. So Jason wrote what? The test. That's an object. So it can't be the subject. Okay, it's important when you're trying to locate the subject of the sentence to eliminate modifiers, describer words or a describer word or describer words. So, because the subject of the sentence cannot be part of a modifier. So if you see a modifier, a descriptor, get rid of it, whether it's one word or multiple words. Let's look at an example. Many excited students cheered because they passed. The main verb in this sentence is cheered. And we ask who cheered or what cheered. The students cheered. That's our subject. Now, many and excited describe the students. They're modifiers. When you're looking for the subject, just stroke those out because a subject can't be a modifier. And because they passed, that's another modifier. We know it's a modifier because it begins with the word because. The word because always begins modifiers. Okay? When you see that, stroke that out. They and past, even though they is a pronoun and past is a verb, they can't be the subject or main verb of this sentence. So once you eliminate those other words, you're left with students cheered. So you can use a process of elimination. Another one, and this sentence right here is really important for your D2L sentences. All of the students wrote the test. Okay, here the main verb is wrote. We have an action. So we ask ourselves, who or what wrote the test? The answer, you would think, is students. And so you might be tempted to say students is the subject of this sentence, but it's not, because of the students is a modifier. And students is part of that modifier. So the students cannot be the subject of the sentence. So the subject here is the pronoun all. So all is the subject, wrote is the verb. Okay, there are some special cases when it comes to finding subjects in a sentence. The first special case is multiple subjects. You don't always have one subject. A sentence may have more than one subject. For example, Sylvia and her friends walked to the library. Walked is our action, it's a main verb in this case. So we ask, who or what walked? Sylvia and her friends. So we have Sylvia is a subject, and her friends are also a subject. Okay? And is a conjunction. It cannot be a subject. Our subject has to be a noun or a pronoun. And her is just modifying or describing friends. So that can't be the subject. So our subject is Sylvia and friends, those two words. And walked is our main verb. And there's one last special case, and that's with questions in here and there sentences. Sometimes the subject doesn't come before the main verb. Usually it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the subject splits the main verb. Here are two examples. Did Paul run to the store? Our verb in this sentence is not only run, but we have a helper. So we have did run. Did run is our full verb. So we ask the question who or what in front of it. So who did run? Paul did run. So the subject of the sentence is Paul. Usually the subject precedes or comes before the main verb, but sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes the main verb is split by the subject. And that occurs with questions, and it also occurs with sentences that begin with here or there. There is Paul running to the store. Here our verb, our action is running, but we have a helper, is. So our entire main verb is running. And we ask who is running? Paul is running. That's our subject. And in this case, it splits the main verb. So usually the subject is in front of the main verb, but it's not always the case. Okay, if you're worried about how to identify sentence parts, the best thing to do is to go to the free Candler College Sentence Discovery app, play with it, and it'll help you identify subjects, main verbs, modifiers, objects, and conjunctions, the main 5 parts of a sentence.